On live.
Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Inseinen Studios podcast. And today we're going to be talking about getting into H.P. Lovecraft. I got special guests Emerald and Ball, who seem incredibly passionate about H.P. Lovecraft. So this is going to be a lot of learning for me. And if you guys watching or trying to get into Lovecraft, it mainly focused on when the Blam Discord, where we usually like chat, because all the stuff recently has been on Tsutomu Nihei's works. A lot of the people are also in other crazy sci-fi horror type stuff. And one of the things I saw people talking about a lot was H.P. Lovecraft. And I was like, oh, I want to get into that because I don't have any experience in it. It seems cool. I like weird sci-fi horror shit. So here we are. What's up, guys?
Not much. It's been good.
Yeah, not much. Well, I'm glad to finally be on this podcast and not making everybody deaf.
Yeah, no, you sound fine, Ball.
Everybody sounds
balls to the wall over here.
I should have put BA accent apostrophe AL, that Ball.
Wait, so Ball, where are you from?
I was just gonna ask that.
Trinidad.
Nice.
Okay.
It's off the coast of is the Caribbean island closest to Venezuela. You could see it some days. So that's part of why the internet is it's like a new invention here. People like now getting it and stuff. It's slightly behind the times.
You're ahead of the curve then.
Something like that. Yeah, we are the kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland that you guys always reading about.
Are you talking about Trinidad is a post-apocalyptic wasteland? What?
Something like that. I'll show you some pictures. It's weirdly industrialized in some places, and it does look just like Blade Runner in some places. There's plants nearby. There's plants that are closing down. Rusting. There's a lot of that kind of stuff in real life. So yeah. So reading Nihei is like this is just like home in some ways.
Cool. Well, I assume it was your home if you live there. And what about Emerald? Where are you from?
I'm from Ohio. I'm north of you.
Oh, cool, man. Where in Ohio?
Cleveland area.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I'd like to try to get a little more country area sometime soon, because getting close to the city's kind of rough, but it's not that bad. I'm in the suburbs.
Okay, cool. How old are you guys?
I'm 32.
Oh, 32. Nice. I'm not the oldest one anymore.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, close to the end. Getting close to the end. Getting up there.
Ball, how old are you?
Let's see. I stopped counting after a while. Let's say 36, I think.
Oh my god. All right, brother. All right, well, cool. So I'm trying to get an HP Lovecraft. I went online. I did some research on what books to get, because it seems like there's a lot of compilation books, but there's like too many of them. There's like too many different compilation books to choose from. And ideally, I want the largest books I can get, but the least amount of them to get my experience of H.P. Lovecraft. You know what I mean? So I want to get like the highest quality books with the most content, but I don't want to have to like buy things with repeated content in it to get it all. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'm glad you think that way. I think the same way whenever I want to buy something that is like a compilation of an author.
Yeah, well, and especially like I don't need to take up any extra shelf space that I already have.
Is that your only bookshelf I see in the background there?
No, that's actually one of 5.
Holy nice.
Yeah,
okay.
that one back there is that's the Sci-Fi Shelf. So the top row, or actually on top of the shelf, is like Akira and some other classics like Ghost in the Shell. What else is there? Oh, Parasite. So I figured on the top I'd put some of the classics, and then the first row is like all Tsutomu Nihei shit. So you see like Blam, Biomega, Night Sidonia, some of his like one shots, and then the second row. Actually, what do I got? I got Opossums, No Guns Life, and then Siren, which is a new manga I started reading. We were talking about it before.
Okay. So it is
Super
manga.
good sci-fi, just post-apocalyptic mystery, but it's like kind of dark and brutal. I guess that's one of the reasons it got canceled early, because it was in Shonen Jump, and I was doing research because I'm in volume 12 of 16, and it feels like it could go on for like 30 volumes, but I know it stops at 16, and the ending is a little rushed.
Yeah.
I guess it was like too brutal for Shonen Jump. It just wasn't doing popular, which is it's such a good story. Like I'm really liking it.
Was it like? Well, I don't know if we're gonna get too distracted if we start going down that road.
That's
But
true. I'll stop talking about my shelf. We'll talk all about HP Lovecraft, and then we'll talk about whatever.
Peter off. Well, anyway, to what you were asking about which ones to get. The ones that I got that I've been very happy with are the ones published by Orion. Orion Books, I think is what the company is called.
Yeah.
And that's going to be like everything you want right there.
Orion.
Yeah, let me just look real quick.
And they got a couple.
Yeah.
Well, first let's talk about Emerald. Talk about HP or Ball. Check in too. Like, why do you guys love HP Lovecraft? What does he specialize in? Like, why should I read this shit?
It's
well, one interesting thing I think is that the kinds of ideas that he has and the time that in which he was writing them, is actually kind of amazing. That he was able to come up with so much stuff that is really ahead of its time. I mean, you're talking about beings from outer space. Humans as is not a human centric story really. Is the humans are like the roaches on the kitchen floor of Cthulhu. I mean, a story like that at the time that he wrote it is probably really ahead of its time. Mind transference. One of his stories has that. I mean, how could this guy have come up with all this stuff at the time that he was writing it? It's really interesting. And I mean, anybody that's into science fiction now could see echoes of that, throughout so many things. I mean, you have Giga, and Alien. That's kind of, one that a lot of people know about. Just so much other media, and it really taps into kind of the, it always goes back to the fear of the unknown. This kind of primal fear, and that is something that even now is difficult to do. You look at a lot of, like, when you go searching for media like this, there's not a huge amount of it that really is really kind of fits the mold. I think part of why.
Well, hey, Ball, real quick, for those of you that don't know, H.P. Lovecraft, he was an American writer of weird science, fantasy, and horror fiction, and he lived from 1890 to 1937. And it seems like a lot of his works came out in the 20s. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
So a lot of works came out in the 1920s of just like this weird, but like good, entertaining horror, sci-fi type story stuff.
Yeah,
But I know what you mean, Ball. I feel like he fits a niche that there's not a lot of authors that fit the niche well. So if you want to get your fix of like weird sci-fi horror stuff, this is one of your only outlets. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. And also the medium of writing is interesting, that something could be directly on screen, but still we don't quite have an idea of what it is, and that kind of is like a veil that prevents us from seeing exactly what it is, and that kind of adds to the horror. Whereas if you were to translate that to any kind of visual medium, yes, there's things to be gained, but you kind of lose that total unknown, because whatever vague thing he's describing on the page, that's in your mind, So how do you translate that to the screen? Which is why I think, I mean, there have been some good translations. I think the new Color Out of Space is supposed to be good.
So wait, what? Say again?
There's a relatively new movie, The Color Out of Space, based on one of his works.
The color of space.
Color Out of Space.
Oh, The Color Out of Space. Okay.
Right, and it has as an added bonus, it has Nicolas Cage, who I think is perfect for this. I'm not sure he
What?
always.
Nick
Yeah.
Cage?
Oh yeah.
I like Nick.
He's not always. I can't always be sure that he's acting. I think he just kind of comes on set and is himself. So I think he's perfect for this.
Okay. What are some? Yeah, go on. You guys can just shoot the shit about H.P. Lovecraft too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe think about it from the perspective of like someone new, like getting them into it. Maybe some of his famous works. Maybe one of it, like what got him started, what made him popular.
Yeah. So one of the first stories that he wrote that really hit it big was called Dagon. And Dagon is about a guy who's recounting an experience that he had when he was out on the seas. I think he was on a warship. I can't remember. I think maybe something like World War I period, I believe. And that warship got sank, and he got off on a. Oh no, it didn't sink. He escaped. He was what do you call it when you desert the military? He was a deserter. So
he went AWOL. Yeah, he's a deserter. That's a good way to put it.
So he lowered a lifeboat and he sailed off into the ocean. And when he woke up, he after many days of like floating aimlessly, he woke up on this massive landmass that was like slimy and gooey and had all of these sea creatures all over it. And so he's basically walking across this landmass, which is massive, like. And he just assumes it rose out of the ocean or something like that, and that is essentially what happens. And but it goes on to it really gets into his mythos and like the idea of like these other creatures that are inhabiting the planet with us or before us or something to that effect.
Cool. That sounds interesting. And most of his stories are like short stories, right? Like, isn't his longest one only?
Yeah, Dagon is only 3 pages.
Oh my God! What? I want to read that. I'm gonna read that after the show.
Yeah, dude. It's so.
You can read it during the show.
That's true. Yeah. I want to pay attention though.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm gonna get probably this coming week. So after we talk, I'll read maybe some of the shorter stuff in my time off, and then we talk about it again next week with whatever topics we're doing too.
So something interesting about Lovecraft is that he had a photographic memory. So he had an incredibly enormous vernacular. Like he knew so many words, so many definitions, and he just when you read his stuff, your vocabulary is going to grow. Like it's amazing.
I can dig that. Gonna make me curse less.
Sure.
Maybe more.
I don't know.
There's so many stuff to see in here, one of the interesting things is that you mentioned that he actually didn't write a huge amount in terms of volume. I think I'm looking at a PDF here of all his works, and it's only like 700 pages.
No,
I think that's...
wait. All of his works?
No,
there's no way. I could have sworn I looked up compilation books that are like 1,000+ pages.
Yeah, the one I've got is 800 pages, and that's mostly his material. There's other material in there that's like written by people. It's like biography type stuff, but 800 pages easily is in the Necronomicon, the commemorative edition. And then they released a second follow-up called the Eldritch Tales. This is from the Orion Publishing Company that I mentioned, and that one is 500 pages, and that's not everything. So
interesting. Sweet. This is super cool. I could like get into all of H.P. Lovecraft. I feel like within a month, easily.
Yeah, you can really knock it out. Like I got the Necronomicon like 3.5 years ago, and that was like my first foray into Lovecraft. And I was really into it, but then I took a long break where I didn't lose interest. I just kind of like moved on to other things. And then I'd say that this year I had like a resurgence into it this summer, and I'm like deeper into it now than I was before.
Sweet.
Yes, I mean, it's amazing that look, this story is 3 pages, but it's like an iconic story, and I mean, like you could definitely see, Junji Ito.
I love Ito. Well,
right.
So I love his original stuff. I honestly don't like when he does iterations of things. Like he did an iteration of Frankenstein. He did an iteration of No Longer Human.
Right. Well,
It's not like I think those are bad. I only like reading his original stuff, I guess.
yeah, definitely. Because I think he's so much more free, because the stuff that he's writing is like routinely.
It's like weird horror. And like they just end. Like they don't usually have endings, I've noticed. And if they do, they're not happy. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of that too is just like Lovecraft. I don't think a lot of his stuff has happy endings too. I mean,
yeah, a lot of people lose their lives, or but the funny thing
if
is
they're
about
lucky,
yeah,
the lucky ones are dead.
yeah. The funny thing about a lot of his stories is it's recount. It's like it's accounts told first person by people who experienced terrible things. So
Right.
most of his stories are told by us.
that sounds cool. I like terrible things.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So we were talking about Dagon before. I just wanted to read a quick little snippet, just to kind of give you a taste of like what it's like.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that like the sailor wakes up on this island. It's not really an island, but anyway, I'm here. I'm gonna go. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished, for there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid, with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud and the unending plain. On the unending plain.
Oh wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, dude, and it's all like that.
That is like poetry. That's like horror poetry almost.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. It's like 3 pages or possibly 10 pages for other stories, and some of his other ones are like closer to 50 pages. But regardless, it's so rich and thick with just vivid detail, and like he really freaking knows how to tell a story, dude.
Yeah, it seems like I'm guessing there's not a lot of filler either.
I don't think so.
No, they
No,
kind of they get right to it.
That's what's up. Yeah, I don't like reading things with. Well, I haven't read the only like book I actually read is probably like the Bible and whatever texts I have to read because I'm going to school right now. But besides that, like
Hmm.
I don't like reading is just something I don't really do. Especially since I got into reading manga, I just feel like it's so much more fun. But I am excited about reading this for sure.
Yeah, the imagery will come to your mind. It's so vivid that you don't even really need the manga panels and the art to get it, to really fall into the worlds that he's painting.
It sounds like I got a beautiful picture just from you reading that excerpt. To like,
Yeah, and you could definitely see the inspiration to a lot of things that you're reading. I mean, Ito is the first one that comes to mind. And I think that this he really knows the unknown things to write about. I mean, you're talking about the bottom of the sea. Nobody, even today, barely anyone has ventured there. Anything could be there. And then outer space. That's something that
so
is
H.P.
it was
Lovecraft has outer space stories too.
Yeah, he has stories where people go into
Oh,
space.
that's so cool, dude.
It's not like extreme. Like in one story, there's the creatures called the Meebo, or the Migo, excuse me, Migo, and they harvest brains, and they put brains into these not like a robotic body, but like these vials and chambers, and like it's like an apparatus, and the apparatus can speak and hear and see, and they basically take these human brains and they travel across the galaxy with them, and so that the human mind can experience the outer worlds, so to speak, in a way that they don't need oxygen, they don't need water, anything anymore.
Oh, that's super cool. I've definitely seen things that were probably referenced off that. Um, there's I forget what his name is right now, but the writer of he's done like Psychopaths. He did Madoka Magica, Fate Zero, Obo Orobuchi. Yeah, Orobuchi. I think that's his name. He also did one called Gargantia. And spoiler alert, this is kind of a niche anime anyway.
Yeah.
Humans evolved. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
They
how
evolved
humans
into.
evolved to like travel through space, and but they thought they were aliens, so it was like a war and shit. But that's what I just thought of when you said that.
Okay. Nice. And like
Yeah.
that part of the story, it's not like it's not, it doesn't take place in space. It's just referenced. It's spoken about. So it's not like
Okay.
you actually have scenes that are taking place in space very often. It's like almost all of his creatures and his mythos, everything is from space. Like not very much originated on Earth. It's kind of like Earth was just a rock and like all of this influence came.
Okay. Cool.
So
Yeah.
humans,
One.
yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead first.
Oh, it's okay. I kind of lost my train
Well,
of thought anyway.
I was just thinking about also the shadow out of time. You know, if you like that concept of
Oh yeah.
putting a brain in a robot body that could travel through space. In that one, a guy his a person present day, his consciousness gets transferred. Spoiler alert for 100-year-old thing. Um, his consciousness gets transferred to a creature far back in time, and that creature's consciousness goes into his body, and is able to kind of experience. So they are like a race that um sends these minds through time to experience different times. So like.
Yeah, there's two different things you're talking about. There's the Migo, which are the race that are a lot like giant bugs essentially. They're the ones that take the brains out of the bodies and put them into those apparatuses, those like robotic apparatuses. And then there's the great race of Yith, and they're the ones that do the mind body transfer between various species. They can take their mind and put it into another body, and then that mind goes into their body.
Right, which is it's crazy to think about. Imagine you waking up in this, bizarre, freakish alien body, and you have no idea what's happening.
Oh
And
yes.
they don't seem to be malevolent either. They're not unkind to the people that transfer. Not just people. It could be. I think it's implied that there's many other races, not just humans, that are transferred into their body and into these youth bodies in the far distant past. And yeah, that is just they're like a race that I think they just value knowledge and gathering it.
Yeah, but
Um,
they're very practical. Like I remember that they, in order to prevent their own extinction, they just swapped minds with like another race on another planet, and like that race inevitably went to their bodies on their planet that was going to be destroyed, and they all
And
just
right.
went extinct. They just switched.
Yeah. So the comet is probably hurtling towards Earth, and all these other aliens just suddenly appear there, and they're like, oh, what the hell is happening? You know, Suddenly they're extinct. Yeah. And what's cool is that people in the modern day, they suddenly see their friend is just a totally different person. You know, he because he I think he's just basically described as having gone mad. To
Wait,
all it.
Ball. So do they come back? Do they switch back?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
at the end, except for the time where they wanted to kill everyone because they were gonna all die anyway. I'm
Yeah,
guessing they
that was a
stayed in those bodies.
that was a practical move. In other words, like when they're not doing that, they're just trying to learn. They're trying to gather information about the universe and all these other
Do they
Right.
ever reproduce in the new organism they take over?
Uh, I
That
can't
that
remember.
wasn't mentioned directly that I could think, and I think there were some edge cases where they didn't return. Like if one of the bodies died, like if either the body in the past or the body in the present, I think died. I think that was kind of touched on, so like it would prevent any kind of return. I think. I don't
Okay,
know.
another question. So, is there like a Lovecraftian universe where all these are could it maybe take place in the same universe, or are they like separate?
It's all the
Every
same universe.
story is like separate.
It's all connected.
It is all connected. I love
And
shit like that. That's so
he
cool.
he did that more so later in his career. Like he had a lot of fun with it. You can tell. Like he really. tied a lot of things together in a lot of these like little hints and stuff like that. And there's like reoccurring characters between some of his stories that are like years and years apart when he wrote them, and it's very fun in that regard.
Cool. This sounds like Nihei took a lot of inspiration off this guy.
He probably read it. I think Lovecraft is a little bit popular in Japan.
Well, it just Nihei sprinkles in his like similar themes in all of his stories, where it's like if you come up with the right explanation, maybe they could all happen in the same universe, but you know,
Yeah,
you're just gonna end up thinking too hard.
I think it's like, he doesn't put a huge amount of effort in making sure it all fits together perfectly and is in canon and everything. But there's a lot of connecting things,
Yeah. Well,
similar
what
to
I
me here. Yeah.
we'll go on.
Yeah, there's like 40 pages in the back of actually closer to 50 pages in the back of the one anthology called the Necronomicon, where it's all biography. It's just tons and tons of information about who Lovecraft was talking to, who carried on his works afterwards. He did a lot of not ghostwriting, but like revisions. Like people would send him their work, and he would rewrite it in like kind of his own vision, and then it would get published, and people would pay him to do that.
People would pay him to edit their stories
Yeah.
to be published by Lovecraft.
No, under their name, but
So Lovecraft would take their story, put his Lovecraftian spin on it, give it back to him, and then they would publish that.
pretty much, yeah. He would even, correcting punctuation, spelling, adding like more verbiage, things like that, just to spice it up. He didn't really change the stories of other people's works very often, but he gave it his kind of flavor.
That's cool.
Like the
What
way
it sounds like a great dude.
Yeah, actually, he corresponded with not thousands of people, but he wrote thousands of letters to so many people. Like he was notorious for being like a pen pal with tons of other writers, and he was a hermit in the later half of his life. Like he just was staying at home all day and really not going out very much at all. But he was
Well, I mean,
always
he
talking.
died in 37
Yeah,
at the age of 46.
yeah. He had colon cancer.
Oh no.
He never got it checked out, and then by the time he got it checked out, it was too late.
That sucks. I mean, back then, what were they going to do anyway?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, they may have had an operation. It's hard to say. All I read is that it was inoperable by the time that he actually got it diagnosed.
Another little fun fact. So, I recently got more into Metallica. I've always been into Metallica, but I got more into them recently because they're going to be at Rockville, which is this rock concert I'm going to very soon. And they have this song called The Call of Cthulhu,
Nice.
and it's just instrumental. It's almost like you're being taken on a journey with just instrumental rock and roll, Metallica style. And I didn't realize it was a call to H.P. Lovecraft until now.
Yeah, a lot of people know about Cthulhu, but they don't even know Lovecraft's name.
So
It's like the character's more popular.
it seems like one of his most popular works is The Call of Cthulhu. Cthulhu? Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Or is it Cthulhu? Is it Cthulhu or Cthulhu?
there's a few different pronunciations for
Well,
it, but it's
I
less.
think.
Yeah, it's less like you speak it in English. It's more so like a noise. It's an alien language, like Cthulhu. Like it's supposed to sound a certain way rather than be spoken with like English lettering. But it's spelled,
Oh.
however, as best it can.
Yeah, I think how it was described is like, however they write it and however people say it is like this is just an approximation of what could be said, by a human tongue. So however we pronounce it, that's wrong because it can't be said by us. Which I mean, even that description is cool. It's like, yeah, that's very Lovecraftian description of even the name.
Okay. Well, without getting into any spoilers, what is Call of Cthulhu about?
Cthulhu is a sleeping god of sorts. Not like a god, like we'd know. It's just like a higher being, and he's the spawn of another higher being. which is responsible for giving birth to like all of these other like sub gods and stuff like that.
So this sounds similar to like Shintoism, like how they do in Japan, where there's just like
That might be a good way to look
tons
at
of
it.
gods, other higher beings, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because he has like real world stuff, and he has like something. He has a lot of stories that take place in like a dream world, and the dream world gods and the real world gods, and like all that. It's there's an intermingling.
What? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty epic actually.
Okay.
Who is Cthulhu? Cthulhu came down to Earth um, in like I want to say like 250 million years ago is what was written.
Oh, we're Alley who? Yeah, I haven't read any Lovecraft either. I'm gonna get into it. These guys know their shit.
Yeah. And
Um,
when Cthulhu came down to Earth, there was already another alien race that was inhabiting Earth for millions of years prior.
okay.
And that alien group comes from At the Mountains of Madness, one of his more popular stories and longer stories too. So you learn a lot in At the Mountains of Madness is full of lore. Like there's so much lore just packed into it that covers a lot of the Cthulhu mythos as it is.
Dude, I am so excited to start reading some of this shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, also, what do you think of the manga adaptations? Because the Mountains of Madness is one of the ones where they. Who's the mangaka? That's
Go
um
Go Tanabe.
Gotanabe. What do
Or
you think
he,
about his work
yeah,
replicating, some of these Lovecraft stories?
he knocked it out of the park. It's really good.
Really? Oh shit, I'm definitely picking it up then. I want to
Yeah,
read I want to read the book though first. Like I want
yeah.
to read the words and
I would
then
suggest, yeah.
enjoy the manga after for cuz he only done it for a couple of them, right? There's the Mountains of Madness and
He's done a lot of them actually, but only a few of them are localized for North
oh,
America.
published in English, only a
Yeah,
few of
only a
them.
few
Got
ones.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Only At the Mountains of Madness and the first one that he did that has three short stories inside of it. That's called The Hound. Is the title and other short stories. There's two other short stories inside of it. So those two stories have been localized, and I think The Call of Cthulhu, The Shadow Out of Time, and another one have not been translated yet. And I think he's still actually going to make more of them. Go Tanabe. I think he's going to make more.
I'm also not sure if
Oh,
Did
ball,
we
you cut off, or maybe
did we lose him?
yeah. Oh,
audible now.
what? You're good, brother. Just
Here.
repeat what you were saying.
Well, I was just saying, I don't think he's concluded Shadow Out of Time yet, even in Japanese.
Okay.
I'm not too sure.
I think you're right because I just looked at something this morning that it seemed that only one chapter was out, and I didn't know.
But yeah, like, I agree. He's definitely doing a good job. And it's not. I don't think I mean, obviously he's a Japanese artist, but I don't think it looks like a lot of typical manga. I mean, yeah, just take a look at it and you'll see what I mean. It looks. I think it works for the style. It looks like black and white, a wood cut probably.
Well, the background of our talk right now is an image from At the Mountains of Madness.
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
picture
I
of the
wish I
cover.
could like do something
So we could see it. You mean?
so we can see it more, but this is like the best I can do. It's the so I put the thumbnail as the other picture where it's like the dude's face and there's some crazy shit happening.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know who did that art, so I don't know if you want to give credit to anybody for the art of that, but
Dude, I don't care. Honestly, if you
okay.
guys got other cooler thumbnails to send for the post, like yeah. But
Yeah, I kind of
I'm
like
not
simplicity. That's why I shared that one.
yeah, it's a good one. I'm not too worried about it. um well cool. So Ball, what are your favorite stories? Your
I
favorite
really
Lovecraft?
I really like the Shadow Out of Time. Well, a lot of what I read now is like some far flung science fiction with uh it obviously much more modern, and it's amazing to see these kind of ideas, mind transference, immortality, all these alien beings, uh I mean, and this guy is writing this in like the 1920s. Is pretty crazy. And just the idea that not all alien beings are malevolent. Some of them are malevolent. Some of them are just valuing just the collection of information. There's just so many interesting ideas. I think that one is my favorite. I think it's one of his longer works too.
Yeah, it's like 50, 60 pages.
Right. So, I mean,
what's it called again?
The Shadow Out of Time.
Shadow Out of Time. All right.
Actually, I haven't read it yet. I have not read that one yet. I know a little bit about it on the periphery, but I have not read it. I'm gonna read it sometime soon.
Yeah, and like just I think this one I think because it's longer, it probably takes a little longer to get going because when it starts off, you're just kind of dealing with this guy that's essentially going mad to the eyes of his friends because he's been inhabited by an alien creature, but they don't know that. And you don't know that for a time too, spoiler alert, but it's impossible to talk about it without without kind of revealing that,
Yeah, let's not do that. Well, maybe we can have more of a spoilery thing after I like read a bunch and we can all just shoot the shit about it. But I also don't want you guys to be too restrained in like your passion for Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Or the things you want to talk about. I don't want that to be too restrained. So
Yeah,
if you got to get a slight spoiler in there to have fun, like I don't care. I'm probably gonna forget it anyway. Hopefully.
Yeah, because when you reread it, it's a whole new experience. It's not us telling you again. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah, it still kind of sneaks up on you, like even rereading some of them, it's like, oh, that's what happens. That's really messed up, I think it's yeah, I don't know why there's not many more people that really kind of capture this kind of horror in modern times, even though I guess a lot of people have tried. But I think it's a difficult thing to do, and especially I think we were talking, in modern times, so much more science is known that it's probably a little harder to suspend disbelief in a story set in modern times. Like, right. But from when when you're reading it from the perspective of, well, this is the 1920s or whatever, there's not a lot, even on Earth, it was so much less explored. You have like at the North Pole, there could be anything. There could be a city of ancient aliens. For real this time.
Yeah, Lovecraft. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lovecraft had an apprentice, more or less, a guy named August W. Derleth, and he carried on a lot of Lovecraft's legacy, a lot of his style. He published a lot of the stories that weren't published when Lovecraft was still alive. He's kind of like the inheritor of the Lovecraft style, and he was a good writer too, Derleth. I haven't read any of his stuff myself, but I'm going to be trying to get into him in the future.
Derleth. So did he knew Lovecraft when he was alive?
Yeah. Lovecraft. I think Derleth wrote him a letter when Derleth was 17, and ever since then, Lovecraft kind of mentored him.
Oh my god, dude, this Lovecraft guy sounds super cool.
Yeah, dude. Like I was trying to say earlier, like everybody liked him. He was a good dude.
Yeah. So would you say Lovecraft is almost like the epitome of these type of weird outside the box thinking sci-fi horror fantasy type content that you're like looking for some good escapism, I guess? I was having this conversation with this girl last night, or anything we like really do in our free time that's fiction in some way is just really a form of escapism. You just gotta make sure you don't have too much of an unhealthy amount of it. But I mean, that's one of the reasons like I love super mind-blowing ideas and concepts and stuff like this. So that's why I'm super excited about. I guess that's the escapism that I like. Just gets my brain juices going good. And that's why I'm excited about Lovecraft.
Oh yeah, and like I said, it's going to expand your vocabulary. Like you're going to learn so many new words, and you're going to catch yourself using them in your normal life.
So, but would you say like what are maybe some other authors that you think do this as good or maybe almost as good as Lovecraft? That
The other guy I'm really into right now, and they were friends, they were writers to each other, and they even shared each other's universe.
shut up.
Robert E. Howard.
Robert E. Howard.
He was. Everybody knows Conan the Barbarian. Robert E. Howard is the original creator of Conan the Barbarian, but he didn't call him Conan the Barbarian. He just called him Conan. And Howard wrote a lot of other characters too. He wrote Solomon Kane. There was a Solomon Kane movie, I think, in 2001 or 2006 or something like that. I can't remember when. And he wrote the progenitor to Conan, which was a guy named Kull, the Exile of Atlantis. And Lovecraft mentions not Kull by name, but the setting where Kull of Atlantis took place was a place called Volusia. Lovecraft mentions Volusia in one of his stories. Robert E. Howard adopted a lot of Lovecraft's ideas in terms of like how to make monsters and creatures and things of that nature. He incorporated Lovecraftian concepts into his stories. So I would recommend Robert E. Howard.
Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe something to step into after I'll probably read all the Lovecraft stuff first. But yeah. What about you, Ball?
It's difficult to say, you know, because like I don't know, it's kind of a hard act to follow. But I mean, definitely read out all the Junji Ito if you haven't already. I would say that you've read I think it was Ramina by Ito.
Yeah, I don't know why that's one of my lesser favorite of his titles. First, I don't know why.
I haven't read that.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of.
I have read Ramina.
But in terms of like the cosmic scale of stuff, I think that's probably the closest. But yeah, you know, but it is very disturbing, you know. If nothing else, you had to agree with that. You don't feel good after reading it, you know. I think that's kind of an achievement. In terms of books, though, I personally haven't read any. I'll definitely check out Howard. But if ideas is what you're interested in, you know. There's a lot of things that I could probably recommend, but they're not easy to get into. And not necessarily horror, but if you want the ideas, you know, I mean, I don't know if you've heard of a Three Body Problem.
Oh, say again.
I have a friend who read that.
Three Body Problem.
Three Body Problem.
Yeah, it's by a Chinese author. Now, it's not necessarily. I suppose in a way it has some horrific elements, you know, because we're talking about a unbeatable alien foe in it, you know. But it's not easy. In some ways, it's not easy to get into, you know. But for a lot of people, for me, it's like a trilogy. But in my mind, I thinking of it is almost like a pamphlet, you know. When I look back, you know, because like that is how easy it was to read. But the start, and in a lot of books, the start is kind of difficult to get into. The first book might be kind of hard, but it's definitely worth the read. You know, if you want ideas, you know, scale, you know, I mean, you might turn a page and 1,000 years has passed, you know, just like Nihei.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, he does that a lot.
You know, there's another one called Diaspora, by Greg Egan. That is another one that the scale is just, you know, it's just immense. I mean, I think both of them, you know, they kind of take place over the birth and death of the universe. You know, so I mean, you're kind of dealing with, you know, large ideas here. You know, there's like I was describing in the Discord chat. You know, this guy, he wants to talk to higher dimensional aliens. You know, but so they're like fifth dimensional, and he's of course third dimensional, and he has to. And he's a digital being, so he has to augment himself with fifth dimensional senses to communicate with him. But then when he goes back into his old self, you know, he has all these fifth dimensional memories that just, you know, he could no longer access. You know, it's just so he has to make a series of clones of himself, each one slightly more enhanced, to communicate. You know, so it's like a game of telephone, you know.
Yeah,
the highest advanced clone could communicate directly, and they have to break down the message more and more to him, you know. And cloning itself is as easy as copy and paste in this crazy future, you know. I mean, you're talking about I think billions of years in the future, because for them they are digital beings, you know, like 1 trillion people fitting in the size of a modern desktop computer, traveling through space. You know, I mean, it's crazy ideas, you know. So it's difficult. That one was especially difficult to get into, Diaspora, but it was definitely worth it.
Okay, cool. What do you guys think about maybe some visual or graphic novels, whether it be comics or manga, that incorporate, you know, maybe similar Lovecraftian level of stuff?
That's a tough one.
There's not a huge amount, you know, but I think I mentioned before Event Horizon. I think that was
Event Horizon. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
That's an American comic, right?
No, that is a movie.
Oh, it's a movie. Okay.
I'm not sure if they adapted it, you know, but is you know, you have that, like, a guy. I think a guy caught a glimpse of like another universe or something like that, you know. And one common theme with Lovecraft is that sometimes these things that people are looking at are so crazy that even that drives them mad, you know.
Oh so my God.
Yeah, you know. So I thought that was, yeah, you know, like similar to this fifth dimensional world that this guy tried to look at. Anyway, it was just too much for him, you know. So like that was like something that happened in Event Horizon. You know, kind of seeing this other universe with God knows what, you know, was, you know, driving people to insanity. There's actually a lot of Lovecraft, either directly or indirectly inspired video games. You know, there's kind of an underrated one, Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth, on a PC and the original Xbox. You know, I would say in video games, that's probably one of the closest that anybody ever got to really capture in it.
No, you know, there is another game that did
Eternal Darkness.
Bloodborne. Most people know
yeah.
Bloodborne. Bloodborne did an amazing job of taking a lot of influence from Lovecraft.
And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Bloodborne. It's made by the people that made Dark Souls. It's
right. I've heard that. Isn't it similar where if you die, you get start back at the beginning?
Yeah, and no? the theme that they used was the theme of dreams, which I mentioned before. Is like there's the dream world, and like you can go in and out of dreams and all that stuff. So a lot of people debate like how much of Bloodborne was actually like a dream world setting, and like, you know, stuff like that. I think most people would agree that like the Lovecraftian concepts were best represented in Bloodborne in terms of video games. So if you're
cool. I'm not a big gamer, but I know their games are so popular. Everyone else on the show always talks about video games.
Yeah, you could just watch a playthrough or something like that. Like you can type in Bloodborne and like you can find out the lore that they implanted into the game that they derived from Lovecraft.
Oh, okay.
In terms of movies, definitely check out The Empty Man and The Void. They're both well, I follow them relatively recent. One is 2020 and The Void I think is 2016. You know, I think both of those definitely both of them in modern settings, and you know, I think they do a good job. I don't know if you've seen any of them, Emerald, but a good job kind of translating, you know, kind of this whole feeling. The Void is one of them. And
this is a movie?
Yeah. And also The Empty Man.
Oh, it's 2016.
Yeah. I think you know, lower budget. I think they're both relatively low budget movies, you know, but I think they do a good job, and it's probably because of the low budget. Because if you had a big budget, you'd be thinking, oh well, now we want to show everything, you know. We have to show, you know, Cthulhu needs to be on stage at all times, you know, and that's kind of really undermining it, you know. I think there was I think there was Lovecraft Country. That was a recent thing, but I feel like there was a lot of monsters on screen at a lot of times. So I don't know. I haven't really checked it out, but I don't think it really kind of got the vibe. I don't know if any of you have seen it or heard of it.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, but
I saw the Coming Out of Space with Nick Cage though. That was actually a pretty good modern rendition of one of his stories.
Right, and I know that is one that that was completed in the manga. That one I think is complete. The Color Out of Space manga.
You're right. I remember now. I haven't read it, but I did see that he did that one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So like what's cool is that this is like another case of where the medium of writing, could kind of hide something, because they're describing a color that doesn't exist. How do you film that? In that way, I think the manga, which is black and white, of course, is interesting. The manga doesn't have to show it, but it could be on screen. But in a movie, it could be hard to do, and it's about this meteor that emitting this color, I think, and it falls on this farmer's land, and eventually it just starts corrupting more and more. The idea of corruption. I forgot Annihilation. That was another movie about you have this. There's this like a domed off area, and beyond it, everything is becoming corrupted. Kind of like the Color Out of Space, Yeah,
I don't know if time and space don't apply in Annihilation. It's like there's like a pocket dimension that people can walk into, and it's like an uninhabited, uncharted kind of territory. But you can only really see it once you've entered it.
Oh,
I've only read half that book. I have that book, but I kind of stopped reading it. It's a lot to take in.
Right, it's a book and a well, I know it from the movie, but as usual, I think you were saying the book was better, but I think that has a lot of Lovecraftian ideas too, and probably that is inspired a lot by Color Out of Space, because the idea of like this expanding zone, This game too also has it, Stalker. They have like this zone with anomalous things in it, and that was based on a book, Roadside Picnic, which I haven't read, but I've heard that it has a lot of weird stuff like that. Like I think how to describe it was, the title of the book comes from, imagine aliens visiting Earth and throwing away their garbage, after having a picnic, and that garbage to us is like some crazy thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
do you know what Inuyashiki is?
No, I don't think I've heard of it.
It's a story by Hiroyu Oku, whatever his name is. He did Gantz. He's currently doing Gigant. But anyway, it starts off these aliens from space land on Earth, and they kill some people in the field, 2 people. And they get out of the little spaceship. They're like little aliens. And they're like, oh shit. like it was an accident that they crash landed or killed these people, whatever. And they're like, how are we going to fix this? So they basically turn the humans robotic to a certain degree so they can like survive. And then the aliens get back. This all happens within a span of like a few pages. And then the aliens get back in their little spaceship and leave, never to be touched on again or seen or anything explained. And then the story continues with these 2 main characters that had their bodies modified. But the aliens are never referenced again. I just thought that reminded me of that. It's like funny.
Was this
exactly like that, So like
before he wrote Gantz?
No, he wrote Gantz, and then he did Inuyashiki, and now he's currently doing Gigant.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So imagine that the garbage that these people throw away, that these aliens have thrown away, caused the entire exclusion zone in Chernobyl. It wasn't really an atomic explosion. It was something that they kind of threw off into that area. And
okay.
Yeah, you have Then you have these people, these stalkers that go into the zone and search for these mysterious artifacts, you know.
Okay, so real quick, guys, because like I want to start reading some Lovecraft. I'm on Barnes and Noble, their website, and I typed in HP Lovecraft, and maybe more applicable to Emerald, since he's here in America. We might have different publishers than what you got, Ball. But like, what do you recommend I get, Emmy?
I would just get the Necronomicon, the black book with the gold foil lettering on it. It's by the Orion Publishing Company. And,
I think I see it.
Yeah. You can get it in paperback and hardback. I've got a
Recipes and Rites from the Lore of H.P. Lovecraft.
Which one?
The Necronom Nom. The Necronom Nom Nom? Everybody fucked up. Is that the wrong one?
I already know what you're talking. I don't know what that is, but I get it. It sounds hilarious.
Oh, here's the Necronomicon. Okay,
Yeah.
by H.P. Lovecraft. What the fuck? I don't know what I was looking at. Yeah. Okay, I see a hardcover and a paperback option. And
well, to be honest, because I'm in this remote location, most of the reading of stuff that I do is online. You know, so this is one area that Emerald definitely could help you with more than me.
Yeah, so for everyone that doesn't want to go buy a book because it's the year 2021 and some people don't care for such things, what's a good website to go read Lovecraft?
I think most, if not all, of his stuff is in public domain, so it's actually not illegal to just read them.
I mean, illegal or not, like whatever. If saying something is illegal when it takes like 2 seconds to do and it's readily available I think is silly. Like people say reading manga online like scans is illegal, or like illegally watching anime, but it's like, is it really illegal? Like, come on. What are the consequences?
I think the consequences are steeper in Japan, that's for sure.
I think this is a link here. I'm not sure if people will be able to see it.
Post it in the comments section.
Yeah.
Where me and Aliu were talking to each other a little bit.
Yeah, I've posted it there. I think that should be the it says the complete works, and it only comes in at 708 pages, which is what I was looking at when I said this purports to be his entire work.
I copied the link. I'm gonna paste it in the comments. Maybe that'll work. If not, guys, we'll try to put it in the description. There it is.
You're probably already looking at it.
Yeah, we'll try to put it in the description of the YouTube video.
Okay.
But okay, so Necronomicon, the tales. Okay, I'm just trying to read what's all in here.
The best weird tales.
Okay, these astonishing tales blend elements of horror, sci-fi, cosmic terror. This handsome leather-bound tome collects together the very best of Lovecraft's tales of terror, including the complete Cthulhu mythos cycle, just the way they were originally published. It will introduce a whole new generation of readers to Lovecraft's fiction, as well as being a must-buy for fans who want all of his work in a single, definitive, highly attractive volume. Holy shit, that's exactly what I want.
Yeah, when you describe a book as handsome, you have the right thing. I think the Necronomicon is a fictional book in his world. Is that right, Emerald?
It was written by Abdul al-Hazred, the mad Arab, as it's said.
Wait, so the title of a book that Lovecraft, or no, wait.
Yes, you.
So they came. I got it. So the title of a book that Lovecraft wrote was actually inside one of his stories that someone else wrote.
Well,
someone else wrote it in his stories, or
oh yeah. The Necronomicon is written by a character named Abdul al-Hazred, and he was very in touch with all of the mythos, and he basically wrote a compilation.
But this is a fictional character that Lovecraft came up with. Yes, oh my god, dude, this guy. That's pretty cool.
But I think that it was publishers after that took all the works together and put them in the Necronomicon, right?
Okay.
Like they just named it that, you know, because it's like a fun
a fun
kind of
call.
yeah,
A fun
you know,
call
like
to the lore.
a
Yes.
in the world.
self-referential kind of a thing, you know, kind of a
Okay.
Boros thing going on, you know.
Yeah, so
Um,
naming the Lovecraft compilation after the compilation of all of the Eldritch truths and the Eldritch horrors. Yeah,
dude, I might pick this up today,
sure. I mean,
or
it's
at
not that
least
expensive.
tomorrow.
It's a pretty good price, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's like, well, I mean, buying anything at Barnes and Noble in person is always the most expensive option, but sometimes it feels good to go buy a book.
You know what? The last book I bought in a store was I think Dance with Dragons. So you know that should give you an idea, and it was brand new.
So
Yeah.
besides the Necronomicon, wait, 708 pages. Allie, are you talking about that link I just posted, or are you talking about the Necronomicon? Let me know. Also, Emmy, besides the Necronomicon, what other thing would you recommend owning that maybe doesn't, some stuff that's not on the Necronomicon that's must read?
They released another one, and I don't even know when it was released, but I just picked it up the other day or a couple weeks ago, and I've only read one story in there so far, but it's called Eldritch Tales, and it's just the follow up to the Necronomicon, and it's everything that's not in the Necronomicon.
Oh my god, that's perfect. How do you spell that?
Eldritch, Eldritch. And Eldritch is a term; it just means like ancient, old. I don't actually know what the further definition of it would be, but it's a term that he uses all the time in his stories.
Okay.
A couple of in terms of other media that has kind of Lovecraftian, you know, themes. I forgot to mention because I feel like it was so obvious. A Song of Ice and Fire, you know, the books, of course. They have a lot of Lovecraftian elements in them. In fact, there's a whole.
Wait,
There's
hey,
a whole,
say that again, Ball. What's it called?
a Song of Ice and Fire, which is upon, you know, the books upon which Game of Thrones the series is based, you know.
A Song of Eyes and Fire.
Ice.
Ice and fire. Duh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Isn't that the Hunger Games, right? No, wait, no, no.
No.
Dude, the Hunger Games is a ripoff of Battle Royale.
No, George R.R. Martin. I'm sorry, I had it.
Yeah, you know, he was definitely inspired a lot by him, and there's a whole group of people that on an island. They're like, you know, they all of their beliefs and religion and everything kind of circles around the sea. And there's, you know, there's a lot of callbacks to Lovecraft there. I think there's like a big, they describe like a sea dragon, and there's this throne carved from its bones, and all kinds of stuff like that, you know. So that whole part of the book is really kind of like a big, kind of almost like a love letter. And there's parts in the book that the book is a fantasy series, but even within this fantasy series, there's fantastical places in it that spoken of, you know, even more incredibly, and they just kind of hinted at, you know, that you know, all of that is very Lovecraftian, you know. But even though that is not the center of the story like how Lovecraft, you know, the craziest stuff is kind of the center, but there's a lot of callbacks and things to Lovecraft, you know, on the periphery of what he writes, you know. And yeah, definitely something to look out for. But that is that also isn't you know, I want you to get into it, Inseinen, but you know, he still have 2 more books to write, you know. So yeah, but you have a long backlog, you know. You have you know, 5,000 pages to read if you do get into it. So I think hopefully by the end, you know, hopefully by the end he'll have.
Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna see how the Lovecraft reading goes, because like I said, I don't normally read actual books.
Right.
But then, yeah, dude, if like maybe this will get me back into reading and using more of my imagination and not having to, like, you know, need pictures like I do with the manga, and then maybe I'll get into some more other like actual reading books.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting older, maybe to be more intellectual in my age, I should start, reading actual books.
The maturity will help you. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And just kind of go around with that nice handsome leather-bound one that you're getting. Going around with it will just make you feel more scholarly just around the place.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh no,
Yeah.
the Necronomicon and the Eldritch Tales. I am definitely gonna get those.
Yeah, if you could get a monocle too, that would up the fancy level.
Okay.
Yeah, but the Necronomicon has all like the most famous stories, and Eldritch Tales has like a lot more of the more obscure stuff.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna start with the Necro. So it's cool. I can just go get the Necronomicon and like start at the beginning, should I start?
You can do whatever you want. You don't have to start at the beginning. I mean, you can.
Well, that's what I was asking. What do you recommend?
I could just I dropped a few names of some stories in the Discord. Let me scroll back up and try to find that.
Yeah. What about you, Ball? Where do you think it doesn't matter where you start, or?
Yeah, me and Ball talked.
Yeah, probably not, and that's probably kind of why he's an easy guy to get into. The stories are relatively short, and you could kind of pick up any one of them and start, and see how you like it from there. I maybe the Shadow of Innsmouth is not necessary. I'm sorry, the Shadow Out of Time. Maybe that is not the easiest one to start with. So, but it's definitely one of my favorites, if not the favorite. Dagon is easy to kind of knock out, and I think you'll get a lot of the mood from that. That he has in a lot of later things, and definitely set the stage for a lot of what's to come.
Yes. Yeah, the Shadows over Innsmouth might be a good one to start early. It's not like the very first one you read, but it's a good early one. It's not like too deep. There's not like too much to remember. It's just a very straightforward story.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we all know about we could all identify, I think, with cults.
Sure.
With cults? Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
dude, I've been to some churches that I'm just like, this place is super culty. I am not comfortable.
Hey, look, it's still tax free, right? So
oh man.
Both as a they're interesting both as a member and as a founder, right? Maybe more as a founder.
Well, it seems like the Necronomicon's pretty easy to find. However, the Eldritch Tales is not.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that one. I thought the Necronomicon was everything, to be honest.
Yeah, but even on Amazon, the Eldritch Tales, it says I wouldn't even get delivery until November 10th through the 17th because their supplier is Book Depository, US. It's not like Amazon has it in their stock. They got to go get it from Book Depository.
I mean, the shipping for me was pretty quick. I just got it like last month, and
you just went through Amazon?
Yeah.
I'll probably do that, but even if it takes for a while for me to get the Eldritch Tales, I can go get the Necronomicon like tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's easy to find, and then
that'll tie it over for.
Yeah, it'll take up time.
It's amazing to me to hear you guys talk about it's coming November 10th. If I order that now, I'd probably get it next year.
Dude, I don't even want to feel like. I can't feel your pain, Ball. I don't even know what that's like. There are some things though, like I have to get from Japan that would take a while to get here. Like I think when I got Tsutomu Nihei's art book, that was about a month. And then Rurouni Kenshin, Trust and Betrayal, the prequel OVAs to the Kenshin story.
Nice.
I had to get that on Blu-ray from Japan. That took a while.
Yeah, you see, this is why a lot of us here, because I mean, there's a lot of fans of a lot of this kind of esoteric stuff in Trinidad, but we can't either we can't get it here. It's too expensive here. It's gonna take 10 years to reach from wherever it's coming from.
So especially after COVID too, everything's slowed down. It's freaking annoying as hell.
Even now, that is a further excuse for the customs to take even longer. It's like COVID. All right. And you never know what kind of charge you're gonna get. That's another thing that I identify with Lovecraft for. The old timeliness when they're talking about, oh, we're shipping this thing from the Arctic in a wooden crate, and then we bring it by autogyro to wherever the hell. That is just like Trinidad. That is Trinidad. That is how it's always like here. You know, there's always some kind of a.
At least you can get something. Like if you really want it, you can order it, and you'll just be stuck waiting, but you'll still get it.
Yeah, most of the times, like what happens, people will consume something online, however they get it, and they're such big fans like that they order it later. You know, like a lot of people are like that. Like with a lot of people getting the Game of Thrones, you know, in the usual places, and then afterwards they buy box set of probably the first 3 seasons, hopefully.
What do you guys think? Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings? What do you like more?
Not a huge fan either.
There would be no Game of Thrones without Lord of the Rings, but I mean, you know, it's interesting to read Game of Thrones knowing that, like, you know, there's some things that you read and you know that they exist in shadow of other things. You know, they wouldn't exist without it. But the newer thing is kind of like a meta, is like aware of other stories then, you know, so that's part of why I like Game of Thrones more. But you know, that is not to undermine what Tolkien did, you know.
Yeah.
Because you know, I don't know. It's hard to explain. You know, it's like Game of Thrones is kind of, in some ways, I think of it as kind of like a meta fantasy. You know, like this is fantasy that's aware that other fantasy exists, so that you know, it kind of does. You know, I don't want to use the word subvert the expectations, but that's probably you know, a good way to describe it.
Yeah, Bob, I'll be right back. I gotta go. I gotta use the restroom.
Hey, I'm gonna do that too.
I won't.
Yeah, let's all take a pee break. Do whatever we gotta do. I am having a lot of fun talking though, so I'll be right back.
Good. Alrighty. You still there, Ball?
Right, yeah, I'm back.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I am so tired. I have to like right after this podcast, I have to finish cramming study material and then immediately go into work.
I'm sorry.
It's my own fault.
Yeah.
I should have gone to bed earlier last night. I was having a fun time.
Yes, these days I've been reading a lot of stuff. You know, like I've read like 20 books trying to recapture Three Body Problem. You know, it's not really quite worked. You know, but I feel like these books have all tricked me into reading them. You know, claiming that well, other people claiming that they're as good as. You know, that is but they've been good in their own right too. You know, that's where I got diaspora from. You know, but if you read one thing, I tell you, probably try Three Body Problem. I think it might be a little easier for you to get into that than Game of Thrones, which might be, you know, like I say, 5,000 pages.
I'll probably never read Game of Thrones if I'm being completely honest. I am I'm more of a sci-fi over fantasy dude.
Right, yeah.
Put it that way. So, I do like fantasy though, like stuff like Berserk, like dark fantasy.
Well, I would definitely say that Game of Thrones is definitely dark, very dark fantasy. Some of the stuff that people do, I probably shouldn't say it on this stream, you know. But
I feel like there was so much back. Did the like when the show ended? I had so many friends that had been watching the whole time, and a lot of people were pissed off. So, but did the
Right.
show change the books? Like, the
Yeah,
books
yeah.
end well? Like, what's up?
Well, the books haven't yet ended, but he when they
Oh,
have this,
really? Okay.
right. So you see what
Because I want a
happens
good
is,
payoff, Ball. I don't want to be disappointed.
you
You
know
guys
what?
talking about Berserk?
No, we're talking. I'm talking about how a lot of people were upset at the Game of Thrones show ending. So I was like, I don't know if I want to get into Game of Thrones. If I'm going to be upset.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were
like
talking about Berserk.
I think a couple. Well, there's a couple of things. One, they had the first 5 books to adapt, but they kind of threw away a lot of the material and a lot of the plots to, I guess, streamline it. But then also too, there were real life problems of where, look, if you're going to actually adapt this, it's going to take 20 years, and these actors are asking for more money every year, and then they kind of aging out of the roles and stuff, I mean, you have a guy that's, he's supposed to be like, I don't know, 15 or something, and by the time at the end of the show, he's still supposed to be like, 15, 16, but he's gonna be like 23 or whatever,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of so there's a lot of problems like that in the real world. But the choices that they made, I mean, you have people changing character, over the course of 2 episodes. When in the book, that's gonna be 700 pages in the book, But they call that streamlining, and I don't think these guys really understood some of what they were adapting, because in an interview I heard one of them say something like they didn't quite get the fantasy elements of it or something along those lines, and it's like, this is a fantasy series. What the hell are you doing? You don't get the fantasy, but you're adapting it. Just get the hell out of here, So I honestly think if the guy does finish the book, this series is gonna be rebooted within our lifetime, and it's just now been finished, and it probably should be, but they're gonna have to really commit, because I think this is even 8 seasons is what we got, but that isn't even enough to adapt the books that we probably the first 3 books that we got, because there's probably
and it's all about Ball. It's all just about making money too when they adapt things like this. Unfortunately,
the show was always making money, so it's not to say like they won't get in their money back, but it might have been like a bunch of things. These actors, they don't want to be tied to a role for 15 years. They've already been tied to it for like a decade, if you can imagine that. So I don't know. It would need to be a 15-year commitment or something like that. I'm not sure. So that's a lot of why people don't like it. You have characters just changing, all willy nilly to fit the and people dying like stupid deaths because, well, the writer of the book told us that this guy is gonna die, so we have 20 minutes to kill like 7 people, so you have that kind of thing happening, when that's
hey,
yeah.
Ball, do you read manga ever?
Yeah, well, I read there's Berserk, the one and only, and like us almost like probably a year after I finished it, the unthinkable happened, but
are you talking about Miura dying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously sucks. Yeah. I personally think the story is that, like, if he had to go, he went at a good point in the story. Obviously, I wish he was still alive, but I'm saying if he had to go like he did, I think the story was left off at a okay place for it to happen. Maybe that's insensitive. I don't know. You know what I'm fucking saying?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that last page, it's like, whoa, together again. We didn't freaking get that in Star Wars. We didn't get a proper reunion. But this is like so much. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You have these people together again. I can't even imagine what the next page would have been.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the story is pretty good to leave up to the imagination. The rest of Berserk. Obviously, I'd like more. Like, I mean, dude, someone had to know how Miura wanted things to pan out. I'm sure he told someone.
Yeah, he did. He talked
Yeah,
to
but
his all his assistants and everybody. They're gonna try to put out more Berserk. They're gonna do it.
Dude, I would rather them write like a book or something
Sure.
than like continue drawing the manga. Like Berserk is just not Berserk without Miura drawing it.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate if they like wrote a story to
He
how it
spent
would
so
end.
much time. He spent so much time teaching his assistants how to draw like him, and
You
they actually
think?
they're close to doing it. They don't have the same.
Do you think they will though? You think they'll continue?
I mean,
They're
it's a money making thing, right? And it's not. Oh, let's respond to Aliyu here. You know what? He's asking if, or she is asking if could Game of Thrones be adapted into a manga. You know what? I think that would be interesting, but I don't know. It'll have to be it'll be a rights nightmare. You know, I don't know how they're gonna do that. And imagine it's probably gonna be thicker than the books when it's done. That would be you need 10,000 pages for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's true.
I would like to see it though. I would like to see it. But yeah, you know, I think the artists that he has are good because looking at Duranki, which is supposed to be drawn mostly by them, at least that's what I think because Duranki was supposed to be a training exercise.
Miura
right?
didn't do any of the art for that. That's all his assistants.
Right, and that art is also incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about them being able to draw it, but I don't know, could they do the compositions like him? Because there's people that could draw, but they can't do the compositions, you know, nearly as good, you know. I mean, you know, when I think of Miura and I think of some of the pages that he had, you remember that shot with the dragon on the
I was just thinking
tail?
of the dragon on the cast. It's
I mean,
so
look,
crazy.
I mean, there's nothing to say, you know. You see that and it's like Jesus Christ, you know.
Yeah.
This is not just a master draftsman. This is a master composition, you know. So do they have that? That is not easy to do because you have people that can draw as good as that, but they can't compose. You know who I like? A lot of people talk about you know, Boris Vallejo and Frank Frazetta in the way of fantasy artists. But I don't know if you're familiar with either of them. But you've surely seen their works. But
Okay.
I think, but you know, well, you know, when I get off, you can check them out and you'll see what I'm saying. You know, Frazetta, I think, you know, he has him because he's better at composition, but two of them are probably equally good at you know, just draftsmanship, you know. But draftsmanship is not all that you need, you know. I mean,
Well,
yeah. I would like to see them try though. I would probably like to see them try. You know, writing out the you know, doing it in prose. I don't know. That wasn't how the story started. You know, I don't know. I saw torn in so many different directions. I'm sure you're torn too. You know, I want to see it. You know, I don't want anybody to pick up the pen after he's dropped it. You know, you see what I'm saying? You know, it's like, yes, I want it. I don't want it. You know, I don't know what I want. You know,
I mean, I'd want it just to see how he wanted to finish the story. Like that's more important to me.
If he left notes, if he gave them the groundwork, then
They could probably do it.
That's going to give it strength. But if he didn't give them any groundwork and they're just going to try to make it up on their own, then it's not going to do well.
Oh, no way. And there's no way they'd get the go ahead to go with their own vision, I'm sure. Unless they had to, unless they didn't have the complete notes. But I mean, we can talk about this a year from now when I'm sure
something comes out.
Yeah, we'll like know what the future of that looks like. But what's up, Ball?
I'll say this though. If they do get to go ahead to draw it, they're gonna come with an A game because they know, you know, look, we can't.
Yeah.
We can't.
They're compared to one of the greats. I mean, I'm sure the pressure of that is, you know,
yeah, you know,
heavy.
And just, you know, just looking at the book is so inspirational. You know, I mean, you see where he comes from, you see where he came from, and then you see where he reached. You know, I mean, that's just is insane. Imagine this is a life's work. You know, you're talking about 30 years between the first page and the last. just try to fathom that. Imagine the growth. And I heard he switched from physical to digital at some point. A lot of people didn't like the switch, but I think, I don't know, maybe as the scale of the story grew to, he probably needed somebody, because think of how big would that panel have been if he was drawing some of those crowd scenes physically. That would have been like, a meter square.
The whole physical versus digital, that's never bothered me. Like, it's still the artist's vision.
Yeah.
I can appreciate both.
I do like the idea that we still have an artifact, a physical artifact after we finished it, but
yeah.
I mean, like there was a Berserk exhibition, I think, recently, and having a piece of artwork that we know he drew this with ink and this exists in the real world versus printing something out. I mean, I can understand that, but on the other hand, you have practicality at play. Practically, it's easier to zoom in and draw, the face on a man, 2 centimeters high, as opposed to, doing it physically. But I don't know. It's amazing he was able to make the switch, though, because a lot of people that try to switch from physical to digital later on, is hard for them. But he was definitely able to do it. I mean, look at some of these scenes, all the stuff in Falconia, all the anyway, let me not say much. Let me not say too much.
We'll stop.
Yeah,
we could talk about Berserk could be its own show, to be honest. Easily.
Just to bring it back around, you were saying like what manga might be influenced by Lovecraft or all that, and then you asked the question about Lord
or
of the
just
Rings.
what you like to read, like some of your favorites. I'm always looking for recommendations, or like.
Yeah, you mentioned Lord of the Rings, and you mentioned the Book of Fire and Ice, George R.R. Martin. I'd say that all of that stuff is influenced heavily by Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard, because a lot of people say that without Robert E. Howard writing the universe of Conan and Call and all those other characters, that we wouldn't have Lord of the Rings, we wouldn't have the setting of Lord of the Rings, we wouldn't have the setting of all the Fire and Ice, the Game of Thrones stuff. So I think it all can be traced back in terms of influence.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of want to wrap it up shortly, just because we're reaching an hour and a half soon, and I got some stuff to do.
We'll be able to do a lot better once you've read some stuff too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'll really I'm gonna read. I literally ordered it from Amazon during this podcast because it's not at any of the Barnes and Nobles. I did the store locator, and even the Necronomicon's not there. But Amazon, I can get it in a day. So hopefully I get it today or tomorrow or Monday, and then I'll, try to read at least 5 short stories, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really into Siren, and I'm like 4 volumes almost done with Siren. So I'll probably spend some time that's free with that too. But yeah, definitely gonna get into some Lovecraft this week. Oh yeah, Kotakura. We were talking about Bloodborne earlier, but Emerald Ball. Anything else for that you guys want to include or talk about real quick for people getting into Lovecraft, or just your own thoughts, like how much, maybe what got you started, anything you want to say? I don't care.
Well, just talking about, I mean, you mentioned how a lot of Japanese people like Lovecraft. There's this game series, Shin Megami Tensei, that they have in this world, it seems like all gods and all deities are real, and I think there's some Lovecraft stuff in there too, and they and what's interesting is that you could actually recruit demons and use or gods and use demons to recruit other gods, so you have some interesting combos, you'll have like an angel trying to recruit Beelzebub or something like that, a lot of strange stuff like that, but they definitely have like a lot of Lovecraft in that, and I mean, I'm sure after it's done I'll come up with a million more things, but I know this was kind of a spoilery episode, but after you've read a few books it'll be even more spoilery, I think, but I think these books are old enough that people have had enough time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this has been a spoilery episode. Like,
No.
The spoiler: everybody dies. Everybody just dead.
Shut up.
We gave really loose outlines. We didn't have to we didn't go into heavy detail or anything like that. I would just say whenever you're reading it, try to do some dot connecting, because there's a lot of his stories overlap with each other in terms of the lore and the characters and all that sort of stuff. Like a long time ago when I first got into him, I read 2 short stories by him. The one is called The Doom That Came to Sarnath, and the other one is called The Cats of Ulthar. And both of those stories, when you're reading them, you just think they take place in a fictional ancient period or something like that. But then you get to this other really long story that he never actually got published, but it after the fact it got published, and it's called the Dream Quest of Unknown Kadat, and it pretty much all takes place in the dream realm of Earth. Not there's multiple dream realms. There's the Earth dream realm, and it turns out that Ulthar and Sarnath are both places in the dream world. They weren't in the real world. But you only learn that when you read The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadat.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll be paying attention and looking for stuff like that. I think my mind works well with that kind of stuff, but I'll make sure I'm paying extra attention to connecting some dots.
Yeah, and I would say after you read a few short ones, try to read At the Mountains of Madness, and then you can get into the manga by Go Tanabe, his rendition of At the Mountains of Madness. You can enjoy the hell out of that once you've actually read the original.
Yeah. Because honestly, I want to read everything in a book, before I read any of the manga adaptations. I just want to get the whole Lovecraftian experience and mindset from the original books before I see someone else's adaptation. Even though I take your word for it, it's well done and great. But
yeah, that's a good idea. I'm glad you're thinking that way, because you definitely should enjoy it in that way.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where Ball went.
He's gone. I didn't see that. There he is.
All right, here he is. Hey, Ball. Hey, it's a physical ball. We're gonna see what Ball looks. He changed it.
I missed it. I don't have a camera. Maybe I'll get a camera eventually.
Well, all right, guys, this was awesome. For everyone that joined and watching or the chat, thanks for coming by. I know This is completely different than what we usually do, but we can do whatever the hell we want at Inseinen Studios, and I'm trying to get into some crazy, weird literature.
You're gonna get it. You're gonna enjoy it, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know what we'll do next week. We'll be in touch with the Discord. Maybe if we want to change the topic, or we'll see what other people's interests are, or whatever. Maybe I read so much Lovecraft this week that I just want to shoot the shit about it next week. We'll have the same people on or whatever.
Just mark the stories that you've read, and if me and Ball have read them, or anybody else who joins, we can just discuss those stories and get into the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah, I definitely need a refresher on so yeah, definitely let us know what you're reading so that I could kind of look at it too, because I blasted through them a few times, but they kind of blur together in a way.
Yeah, I'll put it in the Discord. I'll let you guys know what I'm reading and stuff.
Yeah, I tagged my post where I made some recommendations a few days ago. It's just a little list of 6 stories. Some are longer than others.
All right, dope. That'll be easy to find.
I tagged it. It's the last post made.
Maybe incoming. Oh, I see it. Okay. Oh wow, dude, that picture's super cool, Hall.
Yeah, it's good art, man.
In terms of
holy shit.
That's the Great Race of Yith.
That's crazy artwork. Good lord.
Transfer guys.
Yeah, okay. Even those guys, busy at work studying, this is what they do. Imagine they could go throughout anywhere in time and space, but they're still, burning the midnight oil here. Also, definitely one artist that was really inspired by a lot of Lovecraft stuff is Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy.
Okay.
If you look at his stuff, I think you could definitely see a lot of the stuff that he does is inspired by it, I think. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, it was definitely interesting talking about it. Glad to finally be on the show, like I said.
Yeah, brother, and it worked out well.
All
You
right.
sound fine. So did Emerald.
Good.
A little quiet, but I think we were good at shutting the hell up whenever Emerald started talking, so
Yeah,
he wouldn't be overshadowed.
We'll see if I can get better with these technical issues. I've never used microphones and participated in podcasts very much before, so I don't have. I'm not versed. I don't know very well what to do.
Yeah, it's fine, man. But all right. Peace out,
fine.
everyone.
All right,
Stay
man.
Toa
Okay.
Heavy Tough. We'll see you next time.
All right, see you next time. Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Later.